G'day and welcome to Module 8 of our Data Studio course. We're going to just talk a little bit, we've talked about styling the charts, so just a little bit on sort of more general styling of your dashboard. Obviously the main thing here is the use of colour. So using colour to guide the eye, you want to help people understand the story that you're trying to tell them. And again, I've mentioned this book elsewhere, but there's a wonderful book, Storytelling with Data, that I would highly recommend for this if you want to dig deeper into this topic. You can add various images. You can see down here in the bottom right hand corner, the styling of this matches the client's website, and particularly when you're sharing the dashboard with your client for the first time, if you show them something that's sort of fully branded, in this case in their colors with their logo at the top, and some of those little styling elements from your site. And we're very lucky that we've got the amazing Caitlin in our office that can do all of this for us, because I probably wouldn't be able to, well, I know I wouldn't be able to create this in a million years, going and grabbing elements from their website and sticking them in here. But it makes it look a lot more probably palatable to them, makes it easier for them to then not freak out that you're sending them this dump of data. Not that you should be sending them a dump of data anyway, it should be a nice, easy to read dashboard. But if it's in their branding colors, particularly with a marketing manager, like for a business owner, this probably isn't as necessary. But if your contact is the marketing manager, remember, we've talked about this elsewhere in Agency Savvy, your job is essentially to make that marketing manager look good a lot of the time, and giving them something that they can go and present to a manager or to the board that's fully branded and they don't have to do anything. It just sort of shows that extra level you've thought about from their point of view. You've made their life easy. They're going to love you for it. So you can do all sorts of stuff in terms of pulling in images. You can add icons. Envato Theme Forest is a wonderful place to get icon packs from. You can also just drop shapes onto the chart. So there's a couple of default shapes. So here, this sort of dark grey area, just by putting that rectangle in there, you're tying all of those 8 metrics over there on the right hand side. You're tying them all together by putting that colour behind them. And then the coloured bands across the rest of this chart group the various, so the blue band across the chart groups those three. Actually, looking at this again, it would make sense to use some different colours over there on the right hand side because they're not actually connected. And it looks like I should be looking at conversion numbers over on the right hand side. So that could be an improvement there. But using colour to group similar chunks of data together. This is on the M. Night Shyamalan dashboard, which is one of the ones that Google share in their gallery. And these guys added previous and next links to the bottom right hand corner of the dashboard. Great idea, but damn it, Google make it difficult to do this. So that's going to be just a text link, but you have to individually find the link for the next page and then hyperlink that next piece of text to and drop the new link in, and then go to the next page, find the link of the following tab and link that. So it's pretty painful to do at this point. Hopefully Google will improve that in the future. You may or may not decide that's worth doing. We've decided not to, and instead we'll show the navigation. Remember, if you put the navigation to the left instead of to the top, it shows the list of pages over on the left hand side. We figured that was much easier to do than putting in all these pages. I think I've talked about this on a previous module, but obviously Avinash talks about this a lot more than me. Do not have that customized data puke. Don't just dump a ton of data on the client. Now, some clients will want that. So what we're doing with a couple of clients is splitting the report into two. One is just that super high level, the metrics that matter the most, with some explanation around the things that we've talked about before. The insight, the recommended action, the expected business impact, and then linking out to that customized data puke. So almost keeping it like an appendix, if you like, a secondary Data Studio dashboard. That's where the big data dump's going to go, but then have that short little 1, 2, maybe 3 page one, which someone can present to the board without the board then feeling like, oh, we've missed out. We didn't see the rest of the 21 pages. Why didn't you show us that? It's only a 2-page thing. And if you really, really need to, you can quickly and easily link to the other dashboard, you can pull that data up and have it at your fingertips, but you're not overwhelming people with all of that data. I think that's probably something worth considering. And then this we've covered in the walkthrough module where we go through for each chart, but just so you've got it here in case you want it on the slides, you can change this on all the different charts, things like decimal places, the font color. You do need to manually change the up and down colors for CPA. By default, up is green and down is red, same as everything else. So if CPA drops, that's a good thing. So you may want to swap those colors around if you're being really, really picky, which sometimes I am. One thing I've noticed with, I'll skip over this. We've done this in the walkthrough video. But one thing I wanted to point out with the table, and again, we covered this in the walkthrough video, but the column numbers, if you looked over here on the right hand side, you've got column number 1, and then do you want this? What decimal precision do you want on this? Column number 2, and so on. Unfortunately, at this point, and this is something Data Studio or Google need to fix, is that that decimal precision sticks to that column. So if you start out with an 8-column table and column 5 is average position, and you set average position to 1 decimal place because that's how it should be set, and it's not that way out of the box, which is a little cumbersome. So you go in and you manually set your table, average position, column 5, I want 1 decimal place, next one CPA, so I want 2 decimal places, because they all go auto by default, and sometimes that can make for messy looking data. If you then come in and delete whatever column 4 was, you remove that metric from the table, everything, all those other columns, are going to shift across to the left. Average position doesn't remember that it was set to 1 decimal place because average position just now becomes column 4, and whatever decimal precision you had set for column 4 will stick to average position, and you may find you now have average position with 3 decimal places, which is kind of meaningless. And whatever metric you had over on position that is now the new column 5 will have 1 decimal place. So I like to, when you're dealing with big numbers, for cost for instance, I like to remove the decimal places from cost. It just makes for a much, much cleaner looking table. Removing decimal places from conversions for now. Some point in future we won't be able to do that depending on what happens with attribution, but right now they're all integers. Depending on which attribution model you're using. For the most part, they're integers. And so removing the .00 on the end just makes for a much cleaner looking table. So that's just an annoying thing with the table. If you are going to move metrics or remove metrics from the table, you may have to redo all of the tidying up that you've done. Other than that, it's a wonderful thing.